Hi everyone. I just realized I was muted. I was for the people who've joined early, welcome. My name's Leslie Medley, and I'm the HSA president. Since you've joined a little early, I just want to remind everyone to sign into the chat. You can add your name, email address, and class number of your child. So if you want to take advantage of time now to do that, that'd be great. And we'll get started in just a minute or two. Welcome, everyone. We're still waiting for a few people to join, some presenters, so we'll get started in just a minute. If you're just joining, please go ahead and sign into the chat using your name, email address, your child's name, your student's name, and their class number. Just a reminder to mute yourselves and unmute for questions, but if everyone could go ahead and mute themselves now, that'd be great. I'll introduce myself again. My name is Leslie Medley, and I am the Home and School Association president. People are still joining, and I think we're still just scrolling through here. Ah, okay. I think we have our first presenter on. So I want to welcome everyone again to our November meeting, general HSA membership meeting. And my name is Leslie Medley. I'm the HSA president. We have other members of the executive board that you'll hear from throughout the meeting. Tonight, we'll hear an update from President Davis, and our topic and guest speakers for this evening. The first topic is mental health resources and strategies. That'll be presented by Dr. Christine Soda, the counseling department chair. And we'll also have an introduction to the health resource room from Tara Brown, who will be joining us. Some more people have joined, so just my last reminder before we get started to sign into the chat with your name, email address, student's name, and student class number. And we're going to go ahead and get started. Welcome again, and President Davis has joined us, so we'll start with our first presentation on the school update.
Thank you, Leslie. Good evening, everybody. Thank you for joining us virtually tonight. It is my pleasure to provide a brief update of some things going on at school. Next slide, please. I wanted to start off just with sharing an update around our school-wide attendance with all families. This information is publicly available, and it shows the percentage of students from grades 9 to 12 who have attended school. This goes through the month of October. It does not include November data. The reason that it's important to share, this is something that we talk about frequently with our faculty when we look at student level data. There is a goal for Central High School as well as the School District of Philadelphia around the attendance of students. This is the goal is for students to come to school 95% or more days across the year. This statistic does not include any excused absences. So if your child is sick, hopefully nobody's getting COVID, but that is absolutely still happening. Those times they are not penalized. These are just students who have unexcused absences. So I just wanted to share this. It is actually pretty typical. We see the lowest percentage of attendance amongst our 12th grade students. So if you are the parent of a senior, we're asking you to do everything you can to make sure that senioritis doesn't hit earlier than it needs to. Can you click to the next? I have a box that's going to pop up. Of course, if your child is sick, we want them to stay home and get better. Please make sure that you are either sending in a physical note or sending an email to one of your child's teachers in order to code their attendance in our system. Some examples of excused absences that would never count against your child are any sort of appointments. If your child is out for any sort of illness, if they are visiting a college campus, we have a pre-approval process and a special attendance code that we use for campus visits, as well as any, hopefully this doesn't happen, but family emergencies, such as funerals, accidents, things that bar children from coming to school. If you have any questions about our attendance policies, you can reach out to our main office or your child's homeroom teacher. One myth that I would like to debunk is that if your child is sick or not coming in, you actually don't need to call the office in the morning. Hundreds of families do every single day to say, Kate has a cold, she'll be in tomorrow. What my secretary or one of our secretaries will tell you is please send in a note when your child returns. Next slide, please. Changing the topic slightly, I just wanted to share some highlights from athletics and our fall sports season. So I have 4 wonderful pictures of 5 different teams there. We have girls volleyball, girls soccer, girls tennis, and boys and girls cross country, who all won public league championships over the course of the last month. We have the records right there. Every single one of our teams had an incredible season. Golf, junior varsity football, and cross country are not listed there, but they also did an incredible job. Many of our teams went beyond the Philadelphia Public League and were competing on the state level and competing with some sports teams outside of public schools. And for those sports, the games are ongoing. Our fall season is coming to an end very shortly, and our winter sports are beginning as we get closer to December. We have not started any practices for winter sports yet. There have been some informational meetings, and we'll make sure to update that information on our school's website. Next slide, please. Community service is a requirement that we like to share information about across the entire school year. I believe that these slides will be shared out, and there is a hyperlink with our community service guidelines for the school year. They have not changed since we released them in July. They are posted to our school's website. One significant shift that I made from last year moving into this year is adjusting the hours requirement for different grade levels of students. We have also attempted to incentivize earlier completion of community service hours. And for that reason, you will see a reduced requirement for students if they complete their community service by the day that they return from winter break, which is January 3rd, 2024. That hyperlink with the guidelines has the community service letter on the second page, and it explains what the process is for students to write a reflection. We received a lot of questions last year about what is an essay versus what is a reflection, how many does my child need to write, and so I would just encourage all families to check out that document to get your questions answered. Another frequently asked question that we receive is around the credit value of community service. Community service is a credited course that appears on your child's transcript from 9th grade all the way up to 12th grade. It is a humanities credit, so by the time they graduate, if they do their community service all 4 years, it is 2 additional credits, which is wonderful. It is pass-fail, and it is a requirement for all students. So if you have any questions about that, please drop it in the chat, and I'm more than happy to answer it after this presentation. Next slide, please. All right, last but not least, just a few general updates, thinking about some things that happened since our last home and school meeting. It is really important to me that we have each family's updated contact information in our main office. This is hugely important for teachers as they're reaching out to ask for help, alert you of anything going on in the classroom. It's also really important for our main office if we ever need to contact you. We know that phone numbers change, families move. Sometimes you want to make adjustments to who's listed on your child's emergency contact sheet. That is a QR code right there that if you're logged onto this meeting right now, you can scan. You can update any information. If you ever need to update your home address or your mailing address, we require you to come into school to drop off some documentation. Thinking about the month of October, we had a relatively smooth SAT, PSAT day on October 11th, now almost a month ago. We had over 2,200 students take these really important exams. And for members of our 9th, 10th, and 11th grade class, it was the first time in school where we have given a digital PSAT. It was given on the Chromebooks. Students did an excellent job making sure their tech was up to date and they were prepared. And we actually appreciated giving a digital exam because it's just less paper copies to manage throughout the school building. The SAT still was paper and pencil. The window for the SAT and PSAT is now closed, but if any families have questions, specifically 12th grade families, about upcoming SAT dates, definitely ask Dr. Soda when she's logged on later today, or reach out to a member of our counseling department. The school selection window has closed. It closed, I believe that was 2 weeks ago on a Friday, and that is the process when prospective families apply to Central. We received over 4,000 applications for next year, which is right about where we normally land for each application period. I always get frequently asked questions from parents because they know a friend or a neighbor who's interested in learning more about Central High School. All of the information about what we did for our open houses is available on our website. Many students were involved in guiding student tours throughout the building and answering prospective families' questions, which was incredible. This was a new model that we rolled out this year. We held 9 in-person open houses, and it was largely successful. So thank you if your child was involved in that effort. The first marking period is quickly coming to an end on November 16th. There will be a few days where the members of my administrative team review grades, make sure that everything is correct, and then grades will be released electronically for families and students. We do not print paper report cards at school. Everything is available via your parent portal. If you have any difficulty accessing that platform, you can absolutely reach out to a member of our administrative team and we will get you connected. The School District of Philadelphia is running a new model this year for fall report card conferences. For my past 6 years as a principal, we've always had an evening conference in the fall, and that is not what the schedule is district-wide this year. We are having a full day of report card conferences the Monday after Thanksgiving break. So Monday, November 27th is a non-attendance day for students. It's like an extended Thanksgiving break. Teachers will be holding conferences, and we are sending home a letter tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. Esther, if you want to pop the letter in the chat, I don't mind. Parents look at it now.
Yep, I can do that.
Thank you. Just make sure everyone's on mute, please.
The man comes from a long line of Sicilian hairstylists, and don't you dare call him a
Can we just put them on mute, please? Thank you so much. So we have conferences coming up. I strongly encourage all families to come. It is really valuable to meet your child's teacher face-to-face. I understand that sometimes schedules don't align. So if you're not able to come and connect in person, I ask that you just reach out to your child's teacher. It's really important to us that we get started off the year on the right foot. And then last but not least, as we get closer to Thanksgiving, those 3 days, 2.5 days now, the Monday, Tuesday, and half day Wednesday are very busy at Central High School. We have an upcoming career day. There's more information on an upcoming slide, as well as our junior, senior girl competition of powder puff football. And we have a big homecoming football game on Thanksgiving morning if you stay local for Thanksgiving. If you've never been to a Central High School football game, please know that we have the longest standing public rivalry in the country with Northeast High School. There is a lot of history connected to our game. Our games are always held at the Northeast football field. I have memories of attending them as a student at Central High School, and ticket prices are $10. If you're looking for something to do Thanksgiving morning before your meal starts, I encourage everyone to come out. It's a lot of fun. We have a half day on the Wednesday before Thanksgiving. I believe that summarizes my updates for tonight, but I will make sure to check out the chat and I'll be present for the remainder of the meeting to answer any questions. Thanks so much, Leslie.
Thank you, President Davis. I think there were maybe there was a question about whether the report card conferences will be virtual, if that's an offering as well.
So the conferences are in person, but if you'd like to request a virtual option, you need to reach out to your child's teacher. We will not be having Sign Up Genius links for slots.
Okay. Thank you very much. Esther, I don't know if there were any other questions or if any of the other.
I threw in a question of what time the homecoming game, because I think I missed that.
I haven't publicized it yet. I believe it's 10 a.m.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. All right, next we have our guest speakers for mental health resources and strategies. First joining us is Dr. Christine Soda, the counseling department lead. Also joining us tonight is Mr. Rob Paul, who's a teacher and also social emotional learning lead. And I believe Heather Wardlaw may also be joining us this evening. So I'm going to I'm ready to stop sharing if Dr. Soda, you'd like to start?
Sure. Thank you, Leslie. Hello, everyone. I was about to say good morning. It's great to see all these friendly faces, albeit on the computer screen. I am here to sort of share, mental health strategies and things like that. One of the things that I found in my notes was that there wasn't enough time left at the end the last time I was here in November for parent questions. So I am not going to sort of share elaborate slides like President Davis, but I will be sharing with you, Leslie, because I forgot to do so, a list of mental health resources for families that can be perhaps sent out via the listserv. But before I jump into sort of student support, I'm super excited that Mr. Rob Paul, English teacher, is here to talk about social emotional learning and support for teachers who are with your students throughout the day. And this was an initiative by President Davis. And I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Paul just so he can talk about that and then sort of transition into sort of student support. So Mr. Paul, are you on?
Yes, I'm on. Thank you, Dr. Soda. Good evening, everyone. My name is Rob Paul. I'm an English teacher at Central High School. I teach 11th and 12th grade. And I'm also with Heather Wardlaw, one of the climate leads, or as social emotional learning lead. And this position kind of came up this year as we wanted to try to strengthen Central's social emotional learning presence here at the school. It's great that we have SEL days implemented into the schedule, but from my experience with talking to students and other teachers, it seemed like some teachers needed some support with what to do on those SEL days, and maybe even how to implement that into their everyday curriculum. And this is something that I'm really passionate about. I think that this is something that I really realized that the students greatly need as we transition back into the building after the pandemic. And so many students and parents were talking to me about how they were feeling anxious and depressed and overwhelmed and just needed some additional skills and some help with that adjustment. So I'm really happy that Heather and I, with the counseling department and President Davis and the other administrators at Central, are able to support this endeavor. So some of the things that we have been doing already, we've been working together to try to assist teachers and give them the best resources possible. So not only that they can be prepared on SEL days, but start using some of those strategies to support the students in the classroom. We've also been working on the student well-being survey, and I can try to share those slides in the chat so you can see some of the data. This is something that came out, I believe, during the first year when we were doing virtual school. And it was for the school district to kind of, and for the schools to get an idea of how the students feel with their social emotional learning skills. There's 3 different questions that they're asked. It's like a 3 to 5 minute survey. And we just had one that took place during the week of October 9th through the October 20th. That was the first testing window. And basically there's about 16 questions. Some of the questions assess how the students connect with peers at the school, how students connect with adults at the school, and how students just feel about themselves and how they navigate throughout the building. And for the most part, the data that we had was really good that we looked at. We had data that we shared with the staff from Q4 of last school year. And we just took the student wellbeing survey, like I said, October 9th. And our data was really good. And I'm really excited to hopefully start sharing that with the students so that they can be part of the dialogue and the conversation. And we can celebrate the things that we're doing well, but also try to find ways in which we can improve our scores and make everyone feel better about being a student at Central. So some of the things that Heather and I are hoping to do, we want to find a group of student leaders, and we're going to start with just getting into the cabinets of all the elected officials and trying to get some students who want to support us in this endeavor so that we can make sure that we're really addressing and helping everyone. The student wellbeing survey was paying specific attention to Black and Brown students. So that's something that we've also been paying close attention to on our end. Some other ideas that we have, obviously going into teachers' rooms and making sure they feel supported, making sure that students are being heard with their social emotional learning concerns. We also hope to have some kind of end of the year I don't want to say like a festival, but something where we can have a bunch of different mental health and health professionals come in and just have resources there for students that maybe they could go to on an SEL day or during their lunch, just to provide additional support and let them know the things that are out there throughout the city. So I'm happy to answer any questions or if anyone wants to talk more about it, but that's pretty much the things that Heather and I have been doing. I've also been going to some equity data trainings with President Davis and Dr. Scott, where we're looking at data. We're learning how to humanize that data, and we're learning how to use that data to just improve social justice within the school, and all of that connects back to the mental health piece. So thank you so much, Dr. Soda, and thank you to everyone for having me.
Mrs. Wardlaw, are you out there? Is there anything you'd like to add or?
Hello, everybody. I'm Heather Wardlaw. I think Rob did a great job at saying everything that we're doing. It's nice to see everybody. I'm on mom duty, so I'm in the car, but I wanted to make an effort just to be able to put my name with the face. And so Rob and I are really excited this year about where the SEL stuff is going. So please feel free to reach out.
Thank you, Mrs. Wardlaw. I think that's a great segue into sort of the work that we do in the counseling office. And I do apologize for coughing twice and not on mute. But I think, you know, just to give the pulse of the counseling department right now, we have been knee deep in with our 12th graders around the college process, early decision, early action deadline of November 1st. I'd say we had about 150 students apply early action, early decision. For those that don't know what that is, an early decision application is to one school where a student falls in love with it. It is a binding agreement between the parents, the school, and the student. And if they get accepted, the expectation is that they go there. Early action steps down a little bit in terms of it's a non-binding agreement. And so many of our students have been working with the counselors to sort of figure out a list that, you know, best suits them and their profile. Our department, many of you know, probably 6 counselors for our large number of students. We divide the students by last name. And so if you need to figure out who your child's counselor is, we're in the process of revamping our website, not our website, but our site on centralhigh.net. So you simply just go to click on students and click on counselors, and then there's different tabs there for behavioral health, which really encompasses mental health and physical health. Mental health specific information about, you know, if your student's in crisis, anxiety, stress, study skills, things like that. There's also information pertaining to college and career planning. That part is a work in progress, but we are working hard to sort of figure out different modalities to get information out. President Davis, hold your ears. It has been, in terms of a mental health front, fairly quiet. And I attribute that to, you know, students' overall well-being, great summers. There's definitely a different vibe in the building. It seems a little lighter in the building in terms of teachers and students. We have seen students, typical, perhaps 9th grade students coming in, needing some support around study skills, organizational work, things like that. You know, and it's been pretty typical. Now, I want to knock on wood, and I don't have any wood around me, but you know, we're prepared should things sort of, you know, escalate in any particular way. Conversations are ongoing with students about various topics, grief, mental health, anxiety. We have seen an uptick in requests for what's known as a 504 service agreement for students that are experiencing anxiety. I will tell you that the district has really revamped the process of 504 creation and planning and implementation. In years past, we would request medical documentation from a licensed or medical doctor. listing the diagnoses and what the accommodations, listing the accommodations that were needed for the child. Now it's a longer process in that it's more data driven. We have to collect data, we have to have teacher feedback. And so if that's something that you're considering, or you hear rumblings, my kid's struggling, with anxiety, 504 is an automatic. I would say up through 4 years ago, that was the case, but it's a little bit more extensive of a process. And that was due to a state audit that required just more data points. So the data that we're looking for students that may be in that position, we look at grades, we look at teacher feedback, we look at sort of attendance, any behavioral issues, we have conversations with parents and students. So I just want to sort of put that out there, since that is really a new procedure. It doesn't necessarily mean that students are turned away. We've heard parents say turned away from that process. If you're not eligible based on the data, we still offer support. And that comes in the form of really working with teachers to sort of figure out, in classroom accommodations that might support students. We are seeing sort of the typical, I don't want to say typical, because when you're a teenager and you're in love, and that relationship ends, it is like a total heartbreak and their world is flipped upside down. So that has been sort of the most, I feel like I can speak for myself, Mrs. Wardlaw, if you wanted to chime in, that we're seeing. So academic stress, organizational study skills, and then heartbreak, unfortunately. If the concern always comes with mental health, we all have mental health struggles. The concern that I always share with parents is when we're seeing sort of sadness, right, around a breakup, let's say, we'll use that for example, or a low grade for the first time, is when we're seeing sort of decreased mood. And I would say over sort of I always like to say 2-week period. I think technically, it's a 30-day period where we're sort of monitoring behavior. And I always say that with parents because you are the first line, in your child's life in terms of what you're seeing at home. Because a lot of times our students who come to Central are hyper academically focused. And so while they're in school, we're not necessarily seeing them not sleeping at night, their lack of motivation. They, perhaps they stopped eating, perhaps they're withdrawing, they were social, but now they're withdrawn. And so those are the kind of things that we ask parents to sort of bring to our attention, if that's something, that you're seeing at home. If, through sort of a team decision includes counselor. Oftentimes, our assistant principal, Avi Snyder, is involved, school nurse, if we need to bring the nurse in, President Davis, if it's sort of the most extreme cases, parents, families, and the child, around sort of what would be an appropriate referral. So for example, if a student comes in and expresses that they want to hurt themselves or they want to hurt somebody else, that's an automatic referral, where the school team really goes into action, engages parents in the conversation. There's, sites around the city for crisis response, outpatient counseling, hospital ERs for the most sort of significant. We do not make a diagnosis at Central as school counselors, but we are connected to some community-based mental health agencies through CORA. They are our SAP provider. SAP stands for Student Assistance Program. And then we also have a partnership with the Department of Behavioral Health. Our sort of community based organization is through COMAR, and COMAR is in our building a couple days a week based on, student need, and they're working with students. They are interested in sort of increasing their support in presence, increasing their support, and also increasing their services at Central. And so, they want to run groups and things like that, but that is currently sort of small. There's also, if you have your own insurance, you can always, make a phone call on the back of the card, back of your insurance card, and they will tell you sort of, what you're eligible for and things like that. So we're really excited this year. No 2 days are the same. We're excited about, working with Mr. Paul and Mrs. Wardlaw around supporting teachers supporting teachers in supporting students. And I think, the survey data is really important, and just making sure that our students are, feeling grounded, and feeling, safe and secure in the school community. So like I said, I'm going to get that mental health resource guide out to Leslie, I hope, and Leslie can sort of post it and share it with everybody. I also shared it last year, so you may already have it. Not much has changed, but I would just like to sort of open it up for questions. I know last year, like I said in my notes, there wasn't enough time for parents to ask sort of specific questions. But I will ask if it's specific to your child, just in an effort to maintain confidentiality, if you could just reach out to me directly, offline, and I can sort of connect you with your counselor based on their last name. So does anybody have any specific questions?
Dr. Soda, can I just jump in?
Oh yeah, Mrs. Wardlaw, go ahead.
Before questions, just to share also, we have Kuth, which is a online platform for mental health education. They provide psychoeducation. There is also access to a licensed professional therapist, so that if students would like to get something immediate, because mental health in the city of Philadelphia and probably the whole country is really backed up in terms of trying to find those services. So if they need something in the immediate, they want to get some psychoeducation about anxiety or depression or bipolar disorder, they can utilize the Kuth platform, as well as speak to a licensed professional. We also have Inner Strength in the building. They provide meditation services, I believe, to our 11th grade students, but I would venture to say that they would probably be more than happy to help other students who would like to learn how to meditate. They don't provide any therapy services to my knowledge, but they also have an app that is similar to, I want to say, Headspace and some of those other online platforms where you can learn meditation strategies. So just to share that, in addition to what Dr. Soda said, and those things we are in the process of putting on our counselor's website, so that both you as parents and students have access to it readily.
Thank you, Mrs. Wardlaw.
Dr.
The
Soda,
other- Yep, go ahead.
this is Leslie. I just wanted to say, I'm gonna share the counseling department screen while
Okay.
we're taking questions, so that people can.
Great, thank you. While
I can
Leslie's doing
navigate
that,
the stuff that you want.
we also have a unique connection, just because of the close proximity with LaSalle. They have sort of a clinical program where they're training therapists, psychologists, and they do have, from what I understand, still in place a clinic, which has been more affordable for our students. It's a sliding scale. Mrs. Wardlaw, correct me if I'm wrong, a sliding scale. And students have benefited from being able to just walk, after school to an appointment. And so, yeah. So this is our website. And thank you, Mrs. Wardlaw, Mrs. Stern, for taking on this beast. So it is sort of embedded centralhigh.net. If you go to the student tab and, just click on counseling. But it does list, similar to what is on the mental health resource guide that I'll be sharing, but just information specific to what's available in Philadelphia, what to look for in terms of mental health. When we think of behavioral health, it's more of a sort of a holistic, medical, physical, and mental health all together. There are some sort of, information about anxiety, self-care. We also at Central have our comm space. I apologize, comm space within room 134, which is the counseling suite, which has been quite quiet this year. Mrs. Wardlaw, I'll knock on wood again. Students have come in and just sort of use that space to cry or to sort of hang out with friends. So we might be sort of a small department, but we try to be mighty as possible. So yeah, I mean, I would encourage you to sort of check out the website. There is information on there should your student have to be hospitalized for any reason for a mental health concern. And that is sort of district protocol. And so, yeah, I mean, I'd like to hear any questions that you have, so as not to keep talking at you. All right. Well, the last thing, and Leslie, you can, if you get questions, you can forward them to me, or Mrs. Wardlaw. The one thing I do want to touch on, is we have, so we're in the business of promoting counseling appointments and mental health and sort of, psychiatry medication if necessary. We have certainly seen an uptick in requests for students to have a confidential space in order to have such appointments during the school day. We've discussed it as a team. We've discussed it with Assistant Principal Snyder, and we really sort of discourage those appointments. We have had students stay after school, come before school to have these appointments. It really becomes a liability issue, mainly because if a student is on a counseling call after school at 4 o'clock and gets triggered and something happens, there's potential for no adult to be around to support them. And so they have to travel home, and things like that. And so we really caution students and families against having, those appointments be during the school day. But on the other hand, there's long wait times and appointments are, sort of few and far between. So if that becomes a pressing issue, I would ask you to reach out to your counselor. If it's a one-time thing, maybe, but we really discourage that if at all possible. So any questions, you can feel free to reach out to me directly, or to your counselor, to discuss that more in depth if you need to.
Great, thank you. I don't see
You
any
are
questions
welcome.
with that. So I think we'll we'll be sharing the slides, or we'll be sharing the resource guide and the information I think Mr. Paul dropped in the chat, and parents can feel free to reach out to you or to the counseling department directly. I just wanted to also share this list of counselors, right? By alphabet.
Yes, by alphabet. Mm-hmm.
With parents, and this is also available, I think, on your site, on your webpage. So thank you
Yes.
very much for everything. If there aren't any questions, we're gonna keep going.
Leslie, did
Thank
we
you.
want to have Tara Brown share anything? I know she's logged on as well, or was that later on?
Yes, Tara is next. I don't think she has any slides, but is Tara with us?
Yes, I'm here. Hi, good
Great.
evening, everyone. So
Good
it's all set
evening.
to go ahead and do
Yeah,
a little
thanks for joining us,
HRC.
Tara.
Yes. Awesome. Yes, thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here with you all. And thank you for taking some time out this evening. And yes, inviting me into this space. And so my name is Tara Brown, and I run the Health Resource Center at Central. It's located in the basement in room 10, and I am there on Monday, Tuesday, and every other Friday. That room serves as a drop-in space for students that come and talk to me about their sexual health questions that they have. It can run the gamut of all kinds of topics. It could be sex itself. They haven't started it yet. They have, but they have questions around it. It could be around sexual orientation and gender, relationships, consent, boundaries. Folks can come and see me if they have questions around birth control, pregnancy. I actually administer a pregnancy test on site, so they can do those things with me. It's all confidential services. Students are able to sign off on those on their own services. And they can also come to me for condoms. I distribute safer sex things such as condoms, dental dams, internal condoms. And yeah, I just try to create a really safe space for the kids to come and talk to me about some of those taboo subjects that follow the topic of sexuality. On the other days that I'm not there, I'm actually up at Girls High. And so really close to the area. And so I can always come back for on-call situations if kids need to talk to me and it's an emergency. We try to point them in the direction of all kinds of different health services in the area that can help them out with their questions around birth control, since we don't prescribe it on site. If they have questions around STIs and want to get STI tested, I refer out for those things as well. We really, really we want to, what is the word I'm looking for? We encourage, that's the word. We encourage parental involvement in that process as well. We know some students have some parents who might be a little tougher talking to those things or talking about topics such as sexuality. And so we try to bridge those topics in session and then talk about what it would be like to bring those topics to the family. And yeah, I would love if you all would want me to come and do any type of workshops or lessons around some of these special topics to also offer that resource to all in the association. So that's a little spiel about the HRC. Do folks have any questions?
Tara, did you want to, are your hours the full school day on Monday, Tuesday, every other Friday?
Full school day for the most part. Yeah, 9 to 3. And then I can stay after most days when I don't have workshops. So some kids can come see me after school as well.
And then do you have a Phila SD email or?
No, and so my organization, I work for Family Practice and Counseling Network. So we're a series of health centers in Philly, but I'm contract, so I don't have the school district email. Another thing actually that the HRC does that I'll talk a little bit about is I sponsor the Period Club at Central. And so the Period Club, they are a club that helps provide period products in the bathrooms at schools. And so now we are located on all 4 floors. There's period products in the HRC as well. We try to provide both disposable and reusable, sustainable options when it comes to period products. And the kids fully fund it. They host a series of bake sales throughout the school year, and all those funds go to providing those period products for the kids. And so there's been some pretty interesting legislation and policy put in place or attempting to be put in place where schools and the school districts would be responsible for providing for those things. But in the meantime, the kids have rallied around those issues.
I'm just
Hey,
looking at that. Yes.
It does look like we have a question in the chat, and I think Ms. Wardlaw is still here, that she may be able to answer it. It's a question directed towards the counselors.
Yes. How do central counselors write the counselor recommendation for students applying to colleges that require them, given large and shifting caseloads?
So that's a great question. It is truly a challenge, I will say, because our caseloads do shift, not significantly. I've had the end of the alphabet for almost all of the 10 years that I've been here, 9 or 10 years that I've been here. It is difficult because to put it in perspective, each of us has a caseload anywhere from 350 to 450 plus students, and that's 9th through 12th grade. So when you're looking at 12th grade, we probably have about 125 to maybe 135 students. And so while we would realistically love to get to know all of your students, it is really difficult. As Dr. Soda has said, it's been a little quiet on the home front with mental health, but that is something that really takes a lot of time and care to deal with, along with the college stuff. So to answer the question, everybody has their own process. I can speak for myself. I provide a Google form with, I think I have about maybe 9 different questions that I ask students to complete. I require them to give me at least 2 to 3 weeks lead time on those requests so that I have a sufficient amount of time to write something. But what I can say, and just being honest and transparent, that my recommendation isn't going to be as in-depth as what they are going to get from their teachers or from someone whom they work with quite often, because I just am not meeting them on a consistent basis to be able to have information other than what they would share, let's say on their resume or a brag sheet. You know, so there are some students that have circumstances that I am really aware of because we've worked together for, you know, a significant amount of time. And then there are other students, quite honestly, that I'm just meeting in the 12th grade year. So I do my best, but I make sure to highlight something that they have put on their Google form for me, and then to make sure that the college knows, you know, what I am saying is based on what the student has shared with me, but that their teacher recommendation will give them a more in-depth view of who they are as a student in the classroom and academically. So if your child is not under my caseload and you have that question for their school counselor, please reach out to that person so that they can let you know what their process is. But that is the process that I use for my students.
Thank you, Mrs. Wardlaw. That's great. I want to just go back to Tara Brown and see if there are any questions for Tara from Ms. Brown before we move on.
I did. I wanted to ask, I know you said that the students are doing a lot of the fundraising. Is it possible that you're able to receive donations from parents or the community to help fund the needs for the, speaking specifically about the period pantry?
Yeah, I mean, that would be amazing. Absolutely. I would love to partner with you all around doing some type of fundraising or donating of those products. We have reached out to some pretty large organizations too to get donations. There's we have a pretty substantial amount of a certain size of pad that was donated, I believe, by an organization in Philadelphia. So we're kind of running through those things. So we do have a good stock of that, but all the other, because we've done kind of surveys about what folks want to see in the like period product containers that we have, and so they want a few different size pads. They would like different size tampons that they can choose from, panty liners as well. And so we did get a donation of panty liners from an organization in Norristown at the end of last school year, but that's kind of running a little low. But yeah, I would definitely welcome the opportunity to work with any of you all within this group to do some kind of collecting of resources. If you work for any organizations that you know have connections with those types of things, or are looking to find a cause to support, yeah, we would be more than happy to take on those things. I can put my email in the chat for folks if they'd like to reach out.
That would be great.
Absolutely.
Can I ask a question, Tara? Are students open to like menstrual cups? That is something that can be utilized over and over?
Yeah, absolutely. We do have some folks who are interested in those things. We do have a small supply of reusable and disposable menstrual discs, as well as some reusable pads on site. And so we do have some folks who are interested in those things. We were in talks with an organization on Germantown who works around period poverty and period product access, really well known. The Period Spot, I believe it's called, the Spot. And we're working with that, the owner of that organization, to come and do a cup demo at Central at some point this year. Because I think that's the thing, is that folks are very interested in using reusable products, but they don't know where to start. What should they buy? How do they insert it? There is, especially for using reusable products, the bathroom, right? The general bathroom within schools is kind of hard to do those things, especially if you need to clean it out. But the amazing thing about the HRC is that I have my own bathroom downstairs, and so I think that can always be an option for folks to come and use that. But yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no more secrets. Exactly, Esther. That's the organization. Yep.
And is your bathroom open only on the days that you're there, or is it open all the time?
And so it is open when the door is open. And so sometimes teachers will also use that bathroom because it is one of the only bathrooms that is down there. There's also some single stall bathrooms that are used right now for non-binary and gender non-conforming students. We do want to reserve those bathrooms for those folks. But I also feel like if it were a situation where menstrual cups need to be used, we could maybe work something around that. And so, yeah, I think just with the reusable products, you're just trying to figure out ways to be able to act or to use those things in school. Any other questions? Okay, yeah, I'm sorry.
No, I was just gonna say, I don't see any popping up on the chat, but if you could put your email, I think that'd be great.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll put my email and phone number.
Great, thank you.
Yeah, thank you all. Thank you for bringing up those things around fundraising. Definitely need it.
I'm going to jump back to our slides. And thank you all. Thank you, Dr. Soda, Mr. Paul, Mrs. Wardlaw, and Ms. Brown. That's great. We're on to committee reports for the HSA. The first is treasurer's report, and I think the slide has been updated. It kind of speaks for itself. Our balance right now is $73,831, and we still have some pending expenditures there. You can see that we've already spent money this year on the freshman tea and some miscellaneous fees, bank fees, PayPal fees. The pending expenditures are renovations for room 40, which will be a student space, and for room 241, which is the student association office currently. So for both of those, we're going to be providing furniture. Those projects were the targets for fundraising for our past auctions. So we're hoping to soon have before and after pictures to share with everyone so people can see where their money has gone, especially the fundraising for the auction. I don't think Robin is here for the fundraising update. So Spiritware, if you've missed the window for ordering, there's a link there, which we will also share in the parent group, the Google group. You can also see here what we've supported in the past year. I just went over some of this in the treasury slide, but also Robin actually sent a letter to parents today highlighting some of the projects that we support. They are department grants. This year we're offering $2,000 to each department, and that's to spend on their priority supplies or projects, trips, whatever they're going to decide is their priority. We also support the freshman tea, the senior sunrise for seniors, which is a wonderful tradition at Central for the senior class, and other student-centered events. So there are a number of end-of-year events that we also support. And so that's just to give you an idea of where your money's going when you donate. So you should expect some updates on how the money's been spent and upcoming targets. Campus beautification. I'm not sure if we have Terry or Anne Marie on for this, but we are trying to come up with a date or two for cleanups, tree care, patio planters, and work on the room renovation, room 11. So stay tuned for more information on those. That's a great way for students to get community service hours. And we would like to hold at least one event before the January deadline to help students round out their hours. Next up is our Anti-Racism Network report from Rita Robinson. Just a reminder, if you're not on mute, to mute yourselves.
Thank you, Leslie. Hello, everyone. We have our next meeting this upcoming Sunday, November the 12th at 3 p.m. We invite everyone to come out and join us. Two of the main things that we'll be focusing on this upcoming Sunday are talking about ideas for an educational speaker to come and speak to the HSA at one of our HSA meetings, and also how we can support the Central community with different educational concepts and topics, in addition to fundraising for our scholarship, our annual scholarship, where we donate scholarships to graduating seniors who have upheld and have been fighting racism across the board within and outside of the walls of Central. So we certainly invite you to come out. Those are the things on the agenda, but it's always an open space for parents to come and discuss things. So feel free to drop in and come and meet us. Thank you.
Thank you, Rita. Not sure if Michelle Lopez is on for the Safety First Committee Coalition. Just a review of their mission. I think they announced a meeting. I'm sorry, I don't have the date in front of me for their next meeting, but it looks like maybe the first week of November. So perhaps it's this week, but we'll send an update.
I think the meeting was the previous Wednesday. I think it was the first week in November.
Okay, so stay tuned for the next meeting. I think they're monthly. They meet monthly, and they'll probably have announcements between now and then. So now just a reminder that we welcome volunteers on the HSA. You can see here the names of the chairs of our various committees. We're always looking for more help, so you can inquire through the parent listserv, drop a note in the chat if you're interested in volunteering. We have a number of volunteers who are on the phone tonight. They are our class representatives, parent volunteers, who communicate with our class sponsors, faculty members, for updates that are class specific. And our first report is that 283?
Yeah, I'm on the call. It's Shanice Johnson. Basically, I mean, this is about homecoming. I don't think they were all 283 kids, but they have who the court of honor was, and then a homecoming royalty. So that was one thing. I know we had more than our stuff couldn't all be contained on one. There should be another slide.
There you go.
It's okay. College visits. Students can see Mr. Horowitz if they need visitation forms, and parents and teachers must give notice, preferably 2 weeks, and have documentation from the college. Powder Puff Girls football between the 11th and 12th graders is Tuesday the 21st at 2:30. Parents and students, of course, are encouraged to attend, and the tickets are $5 in advance, $10 at the gate. The senior button voting has concluded and buttons have been distributed. Senior Sunrise, that's Senior Spirit Day. Thanked all the students that attended and supported the seniors. They took a group picture and a tree planting, and the HSA gave donuts. My son went, he said it was okay. He said it was kind of nice. The college young alumni speaker series, you can hear, it's going to be in December. You can hear from a panel of recent young alum. And what's that last one down there? The ski trip is tentatively for February 16th, and they want some parent chaperones. And the last 2 days of makeup for the senior portraits are tomorrow and Friday, and senior input for the yearbook is past due.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. So this is 284 class update. I think Amy is on with us. Amy, are you with us still?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay.
Hi.
Do you want to run through the slide?
Sure. So 284 has an online store that will open very soon, and a link will be sent to both students and parents. Things that will be in the store will be hoodies and t-shirts that were designed by the students, and then they can purchase it, and they'll be able to purchase it before the holidays to give as gifts if you wish or the students wish. Class dues, it's ongoing all the way up until graduation, but it would be really great if you could get half of the $250 in this year. Maybe pay, I don't know, pay $20 a week, and you can do that on school cash line, or you could take a check or cash to room 207. I think that's where the room that Ashley's in, and she'll collect it for you. There's a dual enrollment for a bunch of different colleges. Those colleges include Arcadia, Community College of Philadelphia, Gratz, Harrisburg University, LaSalle, National Education Equity Lab, St. Joe's, Temple, Westchester. Those are some of the dual enrollments. And if you go to the 284 page, you can scroll through there and find this particular announcement. There's a flyer in there with links and all the information that you will need to do this dual enrollment. Seal of biliteracy. Any junior or senior that's interested in the seal of biliteracy can sign up. It's anybody who takes a language or is exposed to another language. You can get a seal for that. Again, go to the 284 Google Classroom pages and scroll through there, and you can find where the applications are. And the applications are due December 16th. And from the nurses, juniors need to have their updated physical turned into the school nurse. So if you go to this website that's listed here, the school nurses, you need to get this form into them, and they will file it for you. They also have a website that gives you a lot of different information. So this is important for juniors. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Amy. Any questions before we move on to the next one? There was a lot of information.
Amy, could you clarify if the school physical, like for athletes that would have to get their forms renewed every year, is that appropriate?
No, it's for everybody.
And it's a different form.
Yes, it's a
I
different.
think Esther may have just attached it to or added the link, but
okay, thank you.
I do know that they can upload it though, because I've submitted like not the school district physical form and like use the PIAA form or use like the doctor's office. And as long as, I think the big thing is the immunization though, which I don't think is in the sports physical. So you would have to get like that record from the doctor's office, but there is like a district form that you can just get filled out.
I think that the form can be found right on the website too, and you can download it and then, like you said, probably upload it as well. Can I just say one more thing? It's really important if parents can go to the 284 Google Classroom and just go in there and see what's being posted, and you will really stay informed of what's going on with the juniors in class of 284. It really helps when I go through it. Thanks a lot.
thank you, Amy. That's good advice. All right. Debbie isn't able to join us this evening, so I'll run through, or Esther, do you want to run through her slide real quick?
Yeah, sure. So yeah, Dr. Soda is their faculty sponsor. So thank you, Dr. Soda. And she did say she met with the 285 cabinet. They were discussing their t-shirts. There was an event that they were supposed to have last year, that I think it was a heat advisor or something. So it was canceled. So I think they're trying to find a way to have something again, and then soft hop for the spring. For the t-shirt, they submitted the design, so students will be able to vote on that next week, and then actually order in December. And the other one is, I guess, for everyone. The National Honor Society is having a food drive from the 16th to the 22nd. So students can bring food cans in and non-perishable items. It did say flyer attached, but I didn't see an attachment. So I will try to, if I find one, I'll put it in the minutes.
Thanks, Esther.
Yep.
Next up is the 286 class update. Rachel, I think, is still with us. Rachel Solomon. Or Taisha. I'll just run through it.
Sorry,
Oh.
I was on mute. I was on mute.
Okay.
Hi, I'm Rachel. I definitely first want to second what Amy said about going on the Google Classroom 286 page. It's Mr. Julien posts everything there, and it's extremely helpful. We have our 286 shirt. You can, the online store closes on November 10th, which is Friday. The shirts will be shipped to Central and distributed. There's the website on there. $22 for a long sleeve shirt, $18 for a short sleeve. And we are really would like to encourage all families to come to the report card conferences so they can get involved and get to really know their kids' teachers. Thank you.
Thank you, Rachel. And report card conferences are, again, Monday, November 27.
I can briefly on this slide. This is the standing slide we have for the Alumni Association. Their executive director is a friend and classmate of mine. So their website is linked on the Central High School website. There is an active fundraising campaign to build an expansion onto our school building, which not only will allow us to expand our academic programming, our performing arts venue, admit more students overall. So if you're interested in learning more or making a donation of any kind, you can check it out on our Central High School website or the website linked at the top, which is also linked on our school's site. Next slide. There are other ways to give back to the school community that don't involve financial donations. So we have Career Day coming up. It is always the Monday of Thanksgiving week. Last year, we welcomed almost 100 members of our alumni community, both in person and hybrid, to speak to students throughout the day about their experiences in their professional careers. We have some recent graduates, and then we have folks all the way up in their 70s and 80s. So there's quite a wide variety. It is a really fun day. If you are a parent who's also a Central grad, we have a lot of those. Please find out how you can get involved as well. I spoke a little bit about our Thanksgiving game day. There's a tradition of a breakfast that happens at Tiffany's on the Boulevard Diner. That is a long-standing tradition. It took place when I was a student at Central. The breakfast is at 8:30. I believe the tickets are 10 a.m. and they are always promoted by Mr. Drayton, our athletic director. We will make sure to share the link with the home and school to share on the listserv when the online purchasing goes live. And then last but not least, our Alumni Association always launches a large Giving Tuesday campaign. Last year, they raised over $70,000 that was donated to departments at Central High School. So stay tuned for that. And we always ask people, especially if your employer offers any sort of matching, we appreciate all of the support. Thank you from the Alumni Association.
Thank you, President Davis and alumni class. I don't know your number.
I'm 264.
4. Oh, another slide. I don't know.
Sorry, last way to give back. And it is giving season. If you'd like to have a Central High School auditorium seat dedicated in your honor, check out their website. It's pretty cool. We also have some very exclusive Central High School license plates driving around the city of Philadelphia. They make really great gifts for family members. The Alumni Association is hiring, and they also have community service opportunities and ambassador and internship opportunities for students. There's a number of after-school events, sometimes even weekend events, and they always are looking for young people to speak on the behalf of Central High School and share about their experiences. So if your child is involved in a cool club or has a passion that you've really seen blossom at Central, and they need some community service hours, reach out to the Alumni Association, and they love to have students participate. Thanks again.
Thank you. Let's see. This is our schedule of upcoming HSA meetings. You can see the next meeting is December 13th, and we'll have Assistant Principal Avi Snyder on to go over the IB and AP course descriptions. And she'll also, I'm not going to go through all of them, but she'll also be our guest speaker for the January meeting, where she'll discuss course selection process. So those are two typically well-attended, popular meetings. Lots of information to get in those. I think all of these dates have already come up throughout the meeting today, so this slide is just a repeat. I think the highlights are that there's early dismissal on the Wednesday before Thanksgiving, and the Monday after Thanksgiving is report card conferences and a day off, schools closed. So that ends our HSA meeting November 2023. Thanks everyone for joining. Before we sign off, if there are any questions, I haven't looked at the chat again. There's some email addresses there. Oh, who can we contact about participating in Career Day, President Davis?
Yep, I dropped Cynthia. She's the executive director of the Alumni Association, and Assistant Principal Harrington is the one who puts all the schedules together. So both of their email addresses are right there.
Great. Okay. Do that now. All right. Thanks everyone for joining, and we'll see you next month. Check your Google Classrooms and the parent listserv for information and to ask questions, and also our Facebook page. Sorry, there's one new message. Oh, thank you. Have a good night.
Hi, everyone.
Bye-bye.